Hi, Fitzgerald families. My name is Kellyanne Mim, and I am one of the ESOL teachers here at Fitzgerald. In this video, we will be talking about Unit 2 of the Parents as Educational Partners program. Part 2, or Unit 2 of the Parents as Educational Partners program is all about school personnel and the school day. So in this video, we will be learning about who works in the school and different parts of the school day. Our learning targets for this video we have 3. So by the end of this video, you will be able to identify the jobs and responsibilities of people who work at the school. You'll be able to name the subjects that students learn in school, and you will be able to describe the parts of a student's school schedule. I first want to start by talking about school districts. So there are a lot of schools all around the country, but all schools are divided into groups called districts based on where they're located. So our school district is called Prince William County Public Schools. Every school district has a superintendent. The superintendent is in charge of all of the schools within a school district. Our superintendent for Prince William County, his name is Dr. Stephen L. Waltz. School districts also have school boards. School boards are a group of people who live in the school district who are elected to make decisions for the district. We have a representative or a person who goes to school board meetings to represent our school and talk about the needs and desires of our school and other schools in the area. Our representative, her name is Diane Ralston. If you have questions, concerns, or suggestions for how to make the school or the district better, you can call Diane Ralston. Her phone number is 571-251-3467. So you can call her if you have questions, suggestions, or concerns. Our school is called Fannie W. Fitzgerald Elementary School. If ever you have a question or need to ask the school something or need something from the school, you can call the school at 703-583-4195. The school schedule is what hours the school is open during the day. So the front office at Fitzgerald is open every day from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Monday through Friday. Students are learning online from 9:30 in the morning to 3:40 in the afternoon each day. Our school, Fitzgerald, has 2 administrators. The administrators are in charge of the school. They make decisions for the school. They're in charge of the teachers. They help the school run smoothly because they are in charge. So we have a principal, her name is Mrs. Godinez, and we have an assistant principal, her name is Mrs. Kopecki. If ever you need to contact the administrators, you can call them at 703-583-4195, or you can also email them. Their emails are in blue right here. This is Mrs. Godinez's email. And over here is Mrs. Kopecki's email. So if you have questions, concerns, or need to get into contact with them, you can call them or you can email them. We have people who work in the front office. So there are 3 people who work in the front office that you may see if you go into the school. Nikki Moore works in the office and handles attendance. If a student is absent, Nikki Moore will handle that information. We have 2 secretaries. Candace Bond is the principal's secretary, and Josie Bullock is also a secretary. The secretaries also work in the front office to run the office, schedule appointments, answer the phone, greet visitors and say hello when they come in, and so much more. The secretaries are very important in helping make sure the school runs smoothly. So if ever you are going into the school, you will go into the front office and you will either see Nikki Moore, Candace Bond, or Josie Bullock, and they will help you with whatever you need. We also have a school nurse. Our school nurse's name is Priya Sharma. So when children are in school and they are hurt or sick, they go to the nurse for help. The nurse is a very important person who works in our school. We also have many classroom teachers. They teach kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. We have so many classroom teachers at Fitzgerald. So students have one teacher that they work with most of the day, where they learn math, reading, writing, science, and social studies with. Most classrooms have one teacher. Some classrooms have two teachers. You might have a teacher, the classroom teacher and a co-teacher, or you might have a teacher and the teacher has an assistant that's called a teacher's aide or a teacher's assistant. Each year, students move to the next grade and they get a new teacher every time they go to the next grade. This year is different because students are learning virtually on the computer with their teachers. A lot of teachers are using a website called Canvas, so students and families can go to that website to get information about classes. Students will work with other teachers in the building as well. So in addition to classroom teachers, there are specialists who work in the school. Those specialists focus on one area, and students may work with those specialists to get help in specific areas. We have gifted teachers at our school. Gifted teachers work with students to give them enrichment and challenge them to help them grow. Students may work with ESOL teachers like me to help them develop their language skills in English. Some students may work with a reading or a math specialist to grow as readers or to improve their math skills. And other students with special learning needs will work with the LD special education teachers. So some of the specialists are the gifted teachers. Bridget Pine is a gifted teacher who works with grades kindergarten, first, and second. And Laura Hasselton is a gifted teacher for third grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade. We have 6 ESOL teachers at Fitzgerald. Miss Hermanson, Miss King, Miss Chamblin, Miss Rodriguez, Miss Radvansky, and myself, Miss Mim, are all ESOL teachers that work with students to develop their English language. We have 2 reading specialists, Miss Taylor and Miss Young, who work with students to help them grow as readers. And we also have a math specialist, Mrs. Galt, who may work with students to give them extra assistance in math. Other specialists that students may work with if they have special education needs, they may work with the special education teachers. Those teachers are Mrs. Cabral, Mrs. Bouchin, and Mrs. Schmidt. We also have ID and autism teachers, and their names are Mrs. Q, Mrs. McGill, and Mrs. Crook. Students may work with those teachers as well. Every day, students will have time for what we call encore classes with a different teacher. Encore classes are special classes that students have where they engage in PE or physical education. They may learn art, music, library. We have a science or a STEM encore class, guidance, and strings. So these classes are built into the student's day Every day students will get to go to these classes. There is a 7-day rotation, so every 7 days the students will get to experience these different classes within their day. These are our encore teachers. Mr. Rains and Mr. Long teach physical education, and students with them learn physical education. They learn sports, they master skills, physical education skills. Dr. Cherry is the art teacher. Students will draw and sculpt and paint with her. We have a music teacher, Dr. Ware. Students in music learn to sing or play instruments and learn about music. We have a strings teacher named Mrs. Davidson. Students learn how to play instruments that have strings like the violin with Mrs. Davidson. Our two guidance teachers are Miss S and Miss Dixon. Students learn coping skills and social emotional lessons with our two counselors. Students also go to library with Mrs. K, where they can check out books and hear stories and read. And then Mrs. Mattice is our science or STEM teacher, and students, when they are with Mrs. Mattice, engage in STEM activities and science lessons. Our two guidance counselors are Miss Dixon and Miss S. They work with students and teach them coping skills, and if they have an emotional need or concern, Miss S and Miss Dixon may talk with them to help them process and cope with how they're feeling. Other supporting staff members that work with students throughout the day are London Jackson. She is the speech teacher. So students who need help with their speaking or pronunciation work with Miss Jackson. Mia Valentine is the school psychologist. She works with students who have emotional or mental health needs. And then Crystal Harris is the school social worker, and she works closely with students and families to give them more support in their home life if they need it. Other important school workers who are interacting with students on a daily basis are the bus drivers. They're the students, or they are the adults who drive the buses that take students to and from school. There are also people who work in the lunchroom, in the cafeteria to serve lunch to students. And the custodians are a very important part of our school as well, who work very hard to keep the school clean and help us all stay healthy.